Hey, this is Joe from the World of Hoops. Welcome to a series that we've put together on leadership. This is the first part of that series, and what we're going to talk about today are a few of the characteristics and traits that you see in leaders, and really what is leadership. In basketball, just like most other sports, we love leaders. We look at guys like Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Chris Paul, LeBron James, and other great leaders, and we talk about how they make the players around them better. There's these stories of their fierce competitiveness, their ability to push teammates to the brink. You have stories of Michael Jordan punching Steve Kerr in the face in practice. And some of these stories are true, but leadership is bigger than that. And it doesn't just exist in the NBA. It exists at all levels of basketball and of life. So we want to share with you some of our thoughts on basketball leadership and how you could add developing your leadership to your basketball training. There are many different ways to define leadership or to define a leader. And if you asked a bunch of different experts, you'd probably get a bunch of different answers. But you would start to hear some similar themes and some similar words repeated. Some of those words are things like unselfishness, charismatic, adaptable, respected, passionate, goal-oriented, influencer, motivator, and a lot of things along those lines. But the truth is, leadership can take a bunch of different forms, and you have a bunch of different types of leaders. You have outspoken, charismatic leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. or JFK. You have strong, disciplined, hard-working leaders that lead by example like Jackie Robinson. Then there's the demanding, competitive leadership like we talked about with Michael Jordan. And then for those that have seen the movie Coach Carter, there's someone like Coach Ken Carter who was transformative in his leadership, really changed things. And then you have the classic kind of by-the-book leadership like Coach K. Now these leaders, they have some differences, but they also have a bunch of strong similarities. Before we dig into those traits though, I just want to say there's argument whether you can develop to be a leader or if leadership is just something you're born with. But what I'll tell you is, while some people might be able to develop certain parts of leadership more easily, anybody can turn into a great leader. You just need to work hard at it. It's just like any other skill. You have to practice it, you have to develop it, you have to get help from other people, and you got to commit to doing it. So know as you go through this that you can become a great leader. You just have to work hard at it. So now we'll go into some of the characteristics or skills or traits that you see in different leaders. This isn't an exhaustive list, but these are some of the key foundational pieces. You don't need to have all of them to be a great leader, but you want to strive to develop ability in all of them. You want to work on your weaknesses, and you want to make your strengths known. Communication. A leader must be able to communicate. This means with your teammates, with your coach, your staff, your family, your administration, your scorekeeper, your athletic director, the whole organization that surrounds you. And communication doesn't just mean talking to somebody. Yeah, you do have to speak clearly, you have to look people in the eye, but it goes beyond that. You also need to be a good listener. You need to be able to cater your communication to who you're talking to. Some people like direct communication, they like you to be firm. Some people like a softer approach, a more indirect approach. You gotta know who you're talking to, and you have to cater your style to them. Unselfishness. If you want to be a good leader, you have to put others and the entire unit ahead of yourself. That's how you succeed as a team. This might mean scoring less than you know you're capable of. It might mean making the extra pass when you know you have a good look. It might mean playing a role of defense and rebounding when you know that you could do more. You might come off the bench instead of being a starter. I think of like Manu Ginobili, who for years could have started on any team in the NBA, but came off the bench with the Spurs. And this extends to off-court activities. You need to help your teammates out. If you're in school or in college, high school, university, whatever you're doing, you might need to help them get things straight with their classes. You might need to help them out in their day-to-day life. That's part of leadership. Accountability. Leaders have to be accountable for their actions. And sometimes you have to be accountable for the whole team's actions. And every once in a while, you have to take the blame for something, even though you did everything right. A real leader is unselfish with themselves, and they're not going to make excuses. They're just going to be there to stand up for their teammates. Honesty and trust. Being honest is often underrated. A good leader has to be honest. This could mean actually when you talk to your teammates and you communicate with everyone around you that you're telling the truth, but it also can be being honest with yourself and where you stand, how hard you're working, what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are. And then the trust piece of that. If you're honest, you can build trust, but you also need to have trust in people. You need to trust in your coach. You need to trust in your teammates. If you do that, you'll see the trust come back to you. And if you're being honest with them and you're trusting them, you will see that they'll develop a team trust that leads you to a lot of success. Flexibility. Things change, people change, situations change. You have to adapt. Good leaders adapt to whatever is thrown at them. There's a saying about we don't have the ability to control all situations, but we always have the ability to control our reaction to that situation. A good leader is always ready to adapt and be flexible. Dedication and work ethic. This should go without saying, but being a leader takes hard work. This means leading by example and leading from the front. Working hard in drills, winning drills, pushing your teammates. You can be charismatic and communicate wonderfully, but if your team doesn't see you working hard, no one will follow you. And you'll see that teammates will also imitate your dedication and work ethic. So if you work hard, they will too. Emotional intelligence. So this is one that you won't really hear a lot of basketball players talk about. Some people call it empathy. But I think it's important. Emotional intelligence really just says, do you know how to understand people and relate to their situation? It's pretty simple. And then, can you cater your approach to communicating with them and playing with them, working with them? Can you cater your style to flex to them? That's what a good leader can do. But you have to see, you have to read people, you have to understand their emotions, and to do that, again, these are all related, you have to be able to communicate. And then there's faith and belief. Now some people think this one's a little bit corny, but every team is working towards something bigger. They want to win their regular season, make the playoffs, win a championship, but you do have to believe that you can do it. You have to believe in your teammates, you have to believe in your coach. Great leaders have this unshakable belief that they're going to accomplish what their goal is. And when you have that, another word for that is just faith. So you haven't seen it, but you know it's going to be real. You know it's real. So that's it. In our next post in this series, we're going to go through some of the things that leaders do that relate closely to the traits we just talked about. And it's going to give you some information so that you can start to think about how you actually start developing. So now you know a little bit about what leadership is. Now it's time to take that and put it into practice. So be sure to like this video, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and leave comments about what you think about leadership. Leave questions if you have them, and stay tuned for the next video, and make sure you check out part 2.